When you reach 68, you think nothing can surprise you anymore. You think you already understand where your life went right and where it quietly went wrong. But this morning, sitting alone in a house that used to be ours, I realized something that hit harder than any argument we ever had. I didn't lose my 30-year marriage because of cheating, not because of money, not because of one big mistake. I lost it slowly, quietly, to 3 harmless-sounding words we said for decades until they became the truth. I'm fine. That's the lie that took my marriage, not overnight, but brick by brick, until there was nothing left to save. And by the time I understood the damage, my wife had already learned how to live without me.
The whole thing came back to me over a cup of coffee I had let go cold. The silence in this house is different now. It used to be a comfortable silence, filled with the quiet presence of another person. Now it's just empty. And in that emptiness, the memories have all the space they need to rearrange themselves into a new, terribly clear picture. I started thinking about a Tuesday night, maybe 15 years ago. I had come home from work, completely crushed by a project that had gone sideways. Sarah was in the kitchen. She took one look at my face and asked that simple, loving question, "What's wrong, honey?" And there it was, the lie. "Nothing," I said, forcing a smile. "I'm fine, just tired." I told myself I was protecting her. Why burden her with my stress? I thought I was being strong, a provider who could absorb the pressure of the world so she wouldn't have to. I would retreat to my study, close the door, and wrestle with my demons alone. I thought I was being a good husband, but I wasn't. I was just locking a door, the first of many. A few years later, her mother got sick. I remember coming home and finding Sarah at the kitchen table, staring at a stack of medical bills. Her eyes were red, her shoulders slumped. I put my hand on her shoulder and asked her the same question she had once asked me. "What's wrong?" Her answer was a quiet echo of my own. "It's nothing. I'm fine." And I let her be fine. I accepted her lie because it was easier. By then, it had become the currency of our relationship. To push, to pry, would have felt like breaking some unspoken rule. Without ever saying it out loud, we had agreed to protect each other from our own pain. We called it giving each other space. What we were really doing was drifting apart, a slow-motion separation happening right under the same roof. We built a fortress of fine, each of us safe in our own tower and utterly alone.
The end didn't come with a bang. It wasn't one big fight. In fact, by the end, we almost never fought, and that's a much more worrying sign than arguing. The passion was gone, replaced by a polite, functional partnership. We weren't husband and wife anymore. We were just managing a household. The climax, if you can even call it that, was a moment of profound, deafening silence. Our youngest had just left for college. That empty nest people talk about isn't just about missing your kids. It's about the stark, echoing quiet they leave behind. For years, the kids had been our buffer, our shared project, the noise that filled the spaces we had stopped filling with each other. One evening, we were sitting in the living room. She was reading a book. I was watching some show I couldn't have cared less about. And it hit me. It had been days since I'd asked her how she was, and just as long since she'd asked me. The question had become pointless. We both knew the answer would be, "I'm fine," and we both knew it would be a lie. So we stopped asking, not because we didn't care, but because we were tired of lying. We sat there in silence, and for the first time, I knew it was already over. In that moment, the wall was complete. The silence wasn't comfortable anymore. It was the sound of two people with nothing left to say. We had shared so little of our real selves for so long that we had forgotten how. We were two lonely people living parallel lives in the same house. The legal divorce hadn't happened yet, but the emotional one was long over. The conversation, when it finally happened, was heartbreakingly civil. It was our 30th anniversary. She made a nice dinner. We sat across from each other, and she looked at me, not with anger, but with a deep, bottomless sadness. "We aren't really here anymore, are we?" For a second, she tried to smile, the same practiced smile she'd used for years to smooth things over, but it never reached her eyes. Her fingers tightened around the stem of her glass, steady on the outside, but I could see the slightest tremor, like her hand was carrying the weight of every unsaid word between us. And for the first time in I don't know how long, I didn't lie. I couldn't. "No," I said. "I don't think we are." There were no tears, no shouting, just a quiet admission of a truth we had both been avoiding for years. We had simply grown apart, one "I'm fine" at a time. If this feels familiar, stay with me, because this realization came too late for me, but it doesn't have to for you. The first few months after she moved out were brutal. The quiet I once thought I wanted became a kind of torture. Every creak of the floorboards was a reminder of an absence I had helped create. I was adrift. For 30 years, my identity was simple: Sarah's husband. And without that, I didn't know who I was anymore. I started walking for miles, just trying to make sense of it all. I replayed our life together, but this time, I saw it differently. The lie, "I'm fine," wasn't malicious. It came from fear. Fear of being a burden, fear of conflict, fear of looking weak. We thought we were keeping the peace, but we weren't. We were avoiding the real work of a relationship. The healing started in small ways. It started with me. One day, a friend called and asked how I was doing. My automatic answer was right there, on the tip of my tongue: "I'm fine." But this time, I stopped. I took a breath, and I said, "You know what? I'm not fine. I'm lonely. I'm sad. And I'm scared." For a man my age, those words felt heavier than they sound. I'd spent a lifetime being the strong one, and suddenly, I was just an old man on the phone, admitting he didn't know how to carry his own heart. Saying it out loud was terrifying, but the moment the words were out, I could breathe again. It was the first time in years I had been honest about my feelings, first with myself, and then with someone else. That honesty started to spill into other parts of my life. I started cooking again, not just to eat, but for the joy of it. I pulled my old guitar out of the attic. I played chords I thought I'd forgotten. I reconnected with friends. I started building a life that was just mine, not one half of a whole. I was rediscovering who I was, and I realized something strange. Even at this age, you can begin again. You can be old, broken, late to the lesson, and still decide
that from this day forward, you will not hide behind "I'm fine" anymore.
I'm not telling this story to blame Sarah or myself. It takes two people to build a wall. I'm telling it because I look around now and I see this quiet epidemic everywhere. You see it in surveys, in studies. Poor communication is one of the biggest reasons marriages fall apart. But it's quieter than something like infidelity. It doesn't explode, it erodes. We're taught to be strong, to be self-sufficient, to not be a burden. But in a marriage, that might be the worst advice you can follow. A partnership isn't two perfect, independent people living side by side. It's two people willing to be weak in front of each other. It's having the courage to say, "I'm not okay today. I need you." And it's creating a space safe enough for your partner to say the same. Love isn't passive. It's an active, ongoing conversation. It needs maintenance. It needs vulnerability. The moment you stop sharing the messy, uncomfortable parts of yourself is the moment you start building the wall. And the moment you choose the easy lie of "I'm fine" over the difficult truth, you lay the first brick. I lost 30 years to that lie. I can't get them back, but I can share my story. At 68, I'm finally learning a new language, the language of honesty. It's a late start, but it's a start. And after watching life happen to me for nearly 7 decades, I've learned this much. The darkest truths aren't in what other people do to you. They're in what you quietly allow inside your own four walls. So if you're younger than me, if you still have time, don't wait until the only thing you and the person you love share is silence. This part of the journey has been the hardest road I've ever walked. But saying it out loud like this, it softens the edges of the quiet. It makes the emptiness feel a little less endless. If any part of this story felt uncomfortably familiar to you, if you've lived through the slow end of a long relationship, or if you're afraid you might be in the middle of one right now, listen to me for a moment. If you're still married, this is your warning. If you're already alone, this is your permission to heal. Share your experience, your fears, or what helped you survive it. Write it down in the comments. You don't have to write something polished. Just write something honest. You'll be surprised how many strangers quietly understand you. And if this story stayed with you, if it felt like listening to an old man in a dark room, telling you what he wishes someone had told him sooner, consider subscribing. This channel exists for one reason: to speak the truths life taught me too late, so maybe they don't have to come too late for you. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Take care of your words and the silences between them.